loyalty is loyalty still matters, but loyalty to whom and to what, and on what grounds and on what principles. That's important too to consider, because you can be loyal to something, but it wouldn't serve your best interest or anybody else's. But it's always good to be loyal to a good thing, provided it's good for your health, your mental well-being, and your spiritual stature. You can be loyal to Democratic Party, Republican Party, or religious faction or group, or some other community. But ultimately, our loyalty should be to our Creator, to God. He's the one that made us, and He's the one that created all life and the planets and the moons and stars, all the beauty that we see in the world. God created all that, and He's created all the known physical universal laws of both morally and practically, and we can see that there's innate laws in the structures of life, and our ultimate loyalty should be to the Supreme Being, the Supreme Lawgiver, the Supreme Judge of all the earth. And there are, different opinions about what laws look like and how they should be implemented. And, we are to obey the laws of the land, provided that their laws are just and right and true. And they usually are, with the exception of some examples we've read about in history, like some certain edicts given by certain kings, about ethnicities and certain religious rights. Some of those are violated, unfair. So God had to send in another conquering nation if they didn't change or amend their ways. But loyalties are loyalty. I'm loyal. I'm loyal ultimately to the supreme truth, truth that prevails. And the truth that prevails is God's truth, and so we don't necessarily follow some of the rules and regulations that are now obsolete. They no longer have application to our modern setting, such as certain religious ceremonies or rites or other traditions. But we can definitely embrace the moral code as far as don't do certain things and do certain things, and we can distinguish between right and wrong naturally, because it's instinctual. It's planted there by God in our maybe not just in our DNA, but in our subconscious, in our consciousness. God has placed a sense of morality within everyone, and we have that naturally. But we also have it written in books and tablets and scrolls, how to differentiate between good and evil, how to sort through things to discover what is bad and what is good. And we have a whole bunch of writings from different peoples of the earth, from many different cultures that tell us in their writings that there's a way of knowing what is just and right and true, and that we can embrace that, follow that, and God definitely upholds His words. He doesn't really I don't know if God compromises with the truth like people do. to suit their own interest. God has his own interest too. You know, we have to be on the side of what God thinks about it and how he feels about it. Because God has feelings. God has knowledge. He has feelings. He has wisdom. Yeah, he's given us, he's bestowed on humanity many of his own characteristics when he created us, because he created us in his image. Yeah, that's truth and justice or originate with God. That's why we have judges. That's why we have laws. We have courts. We have attorneys. We have prosecutors. It's all by God's design. God is the one that created the scales to balance everything. The whole universe is in the scales. All the planets, its gravities, and its other forces. That's all the scales, the balancing of everything. And the same with morality. Everything's placed on the scales to see how things measure up to God's ways and God's standard.